So today we are going to continue our running course for 4 weeks. So today is the beginning of the third week, and we are diving into a little more advanced analysis. I'm talking about statistical analysis using Microsoft Excel. Now, remember what statistics does? It's just basically data analysis of large records. So wherever record or data is collected, you can call it statistics. So we can use Excel to make meaning to large data by simply obtaining things like basic descriptive statistics, such as the mean, the median, the mode, standard deviation, and the rest of the other statistics. So that is basically what we'll be doing in this class this time. Now, if you have your Microsoft Excel in your system, there is something that is very important that you need to activate for you to be able to use the data analysis toolbox. So Excel has it embedded, but sometimes you need to activate it. Now, let's assume I was at home. For me to do advanced analysis in Excel, I'll need to click on data. Now, if you move with me to the right end, you'll see this toolbox here called data analysis. Now, let me click on it. Now, this is where you see lots of advanced statistical analysis, from descriptive statistics to regression to correlation to test of hypothesis. Okay, but perhaps this is not being shown in your own Excel. So I'm going to deactivate and reactivate it. That's the first step we need to take in this class now. So how do you do that? In case you don't see this data analysis, you click on File. Now down here, you're going to see Options. Okay. Now you click on Add-ins. I think this is for instructions. Now from Add-ins, make sure down here you're seeing Excel Add-ins under Manage. So you click on Go. Now, as you can see, all of these add-ins are active because they are ticked. I can decide, let me unmark them so you see what happened. Then, okay. Now, you see that the analysis 2-pack is out. This is how Excel is by default. So you have to activate that 2-pack by going back again to File, then click on Options. Now you locate your add-ins. Down here, you see Manage. The measure is Excel add-ins. There are others, but we're working with Excel add-ins. Go. Now just mark them all. Yeah. The one we need is the analysis 2-pack. Not like 2-pack Shakao, by the way. Just 2-pack. So, okay. You have to give it some time to load. And now it's back. Can you see that? Because we have activated those 2-pack, our analysis 2-pack is out. And that means we can now go ahead and apply it. Now, the first you see here, as you can see, this sheet is called descriptive statistics. We'll have this record here for age, income, and satisfaction score. Okay? So first thing you want to do to this kind of data is to find out things like the sum, the average, which is the mean, of course, the mode, the standard deviation, and the rest of other statistics. So I'm going to quickly click on data, then I'll go to the right end here, click on data analysis, allow it to load, depending on the speed of your computer. Okay. Now, what I want to do is descriptive statistics. So I will click on it and okay. Now, in this dialog box, this is where you now input your data range. So I'm going to highlight the entire data. Luckily, it's a very small data here. Think about 10 records. So you highlight that. Now, you see that the group is by what? Our grouping is by columns. Can you see? We have column A, B, and C. So I will select column for my grouping. Now, something else here, they say labels in first row. Yes, please. You can see the labels I mean is these group names, which is age, income, satisfaction score. So I will have to tick label in first row. Now down here, I want it to display in a new sheet so it doesn't conflict with the current sheet. And you have to select one of these statistics here, like summary statistics, which is one of the most common ones there. So I'll tick it and okay. It's going to take me to a new sheet. And right here, Excel has been able to compute the descriptive statistics for this given data set here. Now I'm going to expand fully, highlight the entire work area, then double click on one of the edge. Yes, now this is the full result here. And I can see that for age, the mean age is about 32.2, which of course approximately is 32. So the mean age is 32. This is the standard error, the median. So there is no model age. So that is why it's N8. So this is not applicable. Okay. But for satisfaction score, you see that there is a mode 70. That is one with the highest number of occurrence. Then you have the median. And even down here, you see the sum, you see the counts, telling you that they are just 10 each. Even though the data are not all equal, you see variation in their counts. So this result is out. I can copy it to maybe a Word document or any other place where I'm preparing the result. And it's called descriptive statistics. Now, this is what I usually do because for each of these variables, you see the same captions repeating itself, this, and this. I don't necessarily need that to be repeated like that. Maybe I want to represent them all in one thing. All I'm going to do is quickly, I'm going to cut this income to the next place, then move this satisfaction score to the next place. Now I'm going to highlight the entire row, column C, which is a repetition of column A. I'll right click and delete. All right. Again, I'm going to do same to column D and delete. Now this is a better, okay, of course, age does not stay here. I will move age to this place and maybe call here statistic. Okay. So statistic will have mean, standard deviation, and all of that. And here we have the three variables which we are checking out for. If you want to add formatting to it, can just maybe highlight it and then come back home to add some border, depending on your border style. If I want to use 3-line border, I can just use top and bottom. And also highlight here to give it top and bottom. Now let's preview to see how that looks. File. If you want to preview that, this part shows print. Yeah, this is how it looks. Very fine. Can you see that? Yeah. So this is just 3-line border style. Okay. You can also try to change your alignments. Some of these things are if you use Microsoft Office, you'll be familiar with this alignment, and also I can align them to the left. Yes. So that is it with descriptive statistics. Remember how we did it from data to data analysis, then you pick descriptive statistics, you enter your record very well, and okay. So that is for that. Now moving on, there are other advanced statistical analysis that can also be done here in Excel. I'm talking about correlation analysis. So what does correlation do? You have variables. Correlation analysis will try to show you if there is a relationship between them. And that relationship is it a positive or a negative relationship. So that's correlation. How does one value relate to the other? For instance, how does age influence income? And how does income influence age? And also, how does age influence satisfaction score and vice versa? So for us to do that similar procedure, from data, click on data analysis. Now I'm going to search for correlation. Maybe I'll just press C on the keyboard. Yes, I see correlation. Now click on OK. Again, I'm going to select my entire data range. Yes, which is from A1 to C11. Yes. And then grouping is also by column. And please label the top row. Now, I'm going to click OK without clicking label the top row. So you see what happens. Everything is good. But if I click on OK, it's going to tell me correlation input range contains non-numeric data. Remember that Excel, apart from pivot analysis, Excel itself analyze numerals and not text. So for us to avoid that, if you see such response, please kindly investigate your data. There could be a place where you must have mistakenly entered a text, sorry, in place of a number. Okay. So now remember that is happening because of the top row, which is our caption. So I'm going to say label in first row. The first row I mean is row 1, where you have age, income, and satisfaction score. So everything is okay. Results should be displayed in a new worksheet. So I'll click on OK. Now we'll have a result here. As you can see, this is the correlation matrix between the three variables. Now, look at this. Subsequently, in this class, we'll be interpreting results. Okay, interpreting results. But quickly, what is this showing us? You can see that the correlation between age and age is perfect correlation, which is 1. 1 represents 100% correlation. Okay, so if you also check between income and income, is still 100%. Satisfaction and satisfaction is also 100%. So those ones are not of interest. Our interest is the correlation between two variables, like correlation between age and income is 0.988. This is a very high positive correlation. So that means about 98% correlation exists between them. And if you also check between satisfaction and age, you see about 93%. And then there's also a correlation between satisfaction and income. All right. So this is basically how to run correlation analysis here in Excel. For emphasis, we are going to do another one with a bigger data. Now, this one is physicochemical parameter. Those in environmental sciences, you understand this better. So this is obtained from a sample, maybe water samples from about 17 stations. And these are the water parameter from pH and all that. I can even expand them out so that I see exactly what they're saying. Yes. So you have temperature, electrical conductivity, total dissolved solid. Yeah, don't ask me how I get to know all that. You know, as a researcher, we work with a lot of data. This result is actually from a data analyzed some time ago for a client. So this is a real life data right here. So we have these readings. Now, one thing you can do is to plot a graph for each of these variables, which is fine. But the objective here is to, find out the correlation between each of these parameters. How does temperature affect pH? And how does electrical conductivity affect temperature? So it's going to form a matrix. So let's count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's going to be 11 by 11 matrix. How do we do that again? From data, you click on data analysis, still working with correlation. Now this time I'm going to select the entire range. I don't need to add the samples because they are just labels. So I'm just going to highlight from temperature to chloride. And make sure I highlight the entire data. Remember, grouped by column. All right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be grouped by column. If these values were actually on the first row, the first column rather, so it will be grouped by row. Okay. Always pay attention to how the data is organized. So yeah, label the first row because that's where we have the names of the parameters. and let my result be in a new sheet. Then I'll click on OK. Awesome. I love this. Can you see what I have here? So this is the 11 by 11 correlation matrix for these variables. As simple as this is, this tells a lot about the data. For instance, if you compare the correlation between TDS and BOD, see it's negative. So this minus 0.63. So there is a negative correlation. That means one affects the other negatively. It means as one is increasing, the other one is decreasing. Okay? I think that's like an inverse proportion there. Inverse, yeah. So one is increasing, the other one is decreasing. Let's check. There is a positive correlation here between temperature and BOD. So that means BOD is affected by temperature and vice versa. Okay, so that's basically what correlation analysis does. Now, before we go, let's also do some other thing that is like correlation. I'm talking about regression analysis. These are very simple analysis here. I'm just going to combine them all in one class because it's just simple steps. Why? Because our analysis toolbox is out. Now we have this data. This looks like economic data where we have GDP, inflation, exchange rate, and oil price. So in regression analysis, you try to look at the impact of what independent variables. So I'm going to call these ones independent variables. And then GDP is going to be the dependent variable. So we are trying to find the impact of inflation, or let's say the joint impact of inflation, exchange rates, and oil price on GDP. That's now what we call multiple correlation. Or if I just want to see the impact of inflation on GDP, that is a simple linear regression. Sorry, this is not multiple correlation, but multiple linear regression. So it becomes multiple if the independent variables are more than one, okay? And it is simple linear regression if the dependent variable is, the independent variable is one. So once you have more than one independent variable, you have to use multiple linear regression. Or if it is one dependent variable, use simple linear regression. Now, someone will be asking me, I'm not a statistician, why do I need regression and all that? Yeah, if we're working with sales record, okay, if we want to find out the impacts of different products on the overall revenue of a company, you can use linear regression model, okay? Now, the model is going to explain which of the products you're selling is influencing the overall performance of revenue in that company. So that's what linear regression can also be used for in the business space. All right. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we conduct? I'm going to start with the simple one, just to check the relationship between GDP and inflation, just these two variables here. So I'm going to click on data. Of course, go to my data analysis. And I'll just press R to get all the R analysis here. So you see regression. I can double click on it. Now this place is quite interesting. We have impute your Y range. Now Y is always the dependent variable. YX is the independent variable. Mind you, there can be only one dependent variable, but there can be many independent variables, okay? So for my Y range, I'm going to select GDP together with the label. And then for my X range, I'll just click in the box where I have X range. I will highlight my inflation data. Now, remember we are adding labels. So I will click on label. Yes, add label. Everything is okay here. So if you want to show the residuals and all of that, normal probability plots, but I don't need all that. I just want to get the regression analysis on a new sheet. So I will click on OK. Voila. So this is exactly how the regression output in Excel looks like. It gives you summary of everything about the analysis. Don't worry, we'll be interpreting these results in subsequent class, I promise. Now, I'm just going to give a quick interpretation of what we have here. First is showing you the summary output of the model, and that the R square is about 0.98. This is a very positive relationship here. So this is telling you that inflation accounts for what is happening to GDP by about 98%. So that's very high. Now, down here, you see the regression ANOVA, which also supports what this summary table is showing. Don't worry, we'll come to the interpretation, but this is just how the output in regression analysis. Down here, you see the intercept, and then you see the coefficient of inflation. Okay, so that means if you want to write the model now, you say y is equal to, it's usually a plus bx, where a is the intercept, b is the coefficient of the x variable, which is inflation. So this model will be written as y is equal to 1210.127 plus, no, it's going to be negative now because inflation is negative. So that's going to be minus 62.1341x. So at the end of this video, I'll provide a PDF that gives basic overview of statistical analysis. I'm talking about things like regression, correlation. So you do well to read it up so that you come conversant with these results. It also helps us in interpretation. We're also going to learn how to use AI, of course, to run quick interpretation of our results, just to have an idea of what result is saying. So that is it. We've been able to look at how to run basic statistical analysis in Excel. So Excel is not only just limited to business analysis or just big data analysis. You can also carry out basic to advanced level statistical analysis here in Excel. Been able to look at descriptive statistics, correlation analysis, which we did here, and now the regression analysis. Okay, finally, we are going to look at the multiple regression analysis. Let's assume we have more than one independent variable. So you still have to go from data to data analysis, still on regression. Now, this place is already good, but I'm going to change it. My input range, I'm going to change it to what we have here, which is GDP. Then for my X range, I'm also going to change what is there. Now, this time around, I'm going to highlight multiple columns, column 1 to column 3. You see that? So I'm highlighting from B1 to D11, 3 different inputs for our independent variables. But remember that dependent variable still remains the same, Y. Now we are looking at the impact of inflation, exchange rate, and oil price on the gross domestic product, probably this country, for this period of time. So after selecting that and everything is good, display a label on top row and let the result display on a new sheet. I'll click on OK. Now I'll have this. You notice that this result is a little bigger than this one. This one has just one independent variable, but this one has 3 independent variables, including inflation, exchange rate, and oil price. Okay, let's look at the overall performance of the model. You can see the R square is 0.99. This one is even giving an almost perfect correlation. So it means that the joint impacts of inflation, exchange rate, and oil price on the overall performance of GDP is very significant. It's highly significant by this 0.9. If you convert it to percentage, this is about 99.7%, which is very fine. That means this data fits well into this GDP. All right. So that is it with multiple linear regression. I promise we'll learn how to interpret these results and also how we can relate it to our own field of endeavor, because statistical analysis is very, very important aspect of data science. You should be able to also find basic statistics when you have data. So that will be it for today. In the next class, we'll continue and do more advanced analysis here in Microsoft Excel. I'm talking about things like inferential statistics. You'll be looking at test of hypothesis using the z-test, t-test, and we will also do something that's very important. This one cuts across fields. I'm talking about survey analysis. Let's say a market survey was conducted and result is being sent to you as data analyst. How can you analyze it? Right here in Microsoft Excel. So stay tuned to this channel. More videos will be dropping subsequently. If you find this video interesting, kindly leave a comment, like, and share so that the algorithm can show it to more persons. Thank you very much. All right, guys, so that will be the end of our discussion tonight. I'm going to leave the class open now. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. Maybe I will answer while we are still on the call. Otherwise, we'll have to answer it from the chat, or you can send to my DM directly. The data for this class will be made available. Remember, all you have to do is replicate what we have done. I'm talking about descriptive statistics. In fact, start from making sure you activate the analysis to pack. Remember how I did that? I'm going to take it for the last time. You go from File, then click on Option. Then you see Add-ins. You click on it. Then you click on, make sure you're on Excel Add-ins and go. Now you see some add-ins. Make sure all of them are active, and then you OK, so that you can see this data analysis right here, because that is what you need to carry out statistical analysis. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you're doing very great in this course. And I hope that at the end of this course, you can be able to say, this was what I've been able to achieve from this training. And mind you, for those of us who are reluctant in sending in our practicals, there is a spreadsheet already running for that. And remember that only those who complete all practicals will receive the certificate of participation from this course. It will interest you to know that we have partners. Yes, we have partners even with Google, because your convener is a Google certified data analyst. So the certification may not be internationally recognized, but it's going to serve as something that sometime you attended a webinar series where you were taught how to do data analysis using Microsoft Excel. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in our next class. Bye-bye.